So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Brett, you're up.
Okay, I sent you guys my report and email. If you don't have anything, yeah, I'm gonna go through it here. The biggest news is we have some positions that were open that hopefully we can get through tonight. So that's a good deal. And March 20th, we have our annual early childhood open house. If you're around that Thursday night, stop by 5:30 to 6:30. Kindergarten and preschool classrooms, pre-kindergarten classrooms will be open to families. Anyone can come, but it's directed to the early childhood kids and their families. See the building, especially the ones that haven't been in our building before. New kindergartners to us or any pre-K kids. So if you're out and about, stop by. Conferences are this week. Those are always a busy couple nights. Well attended at the elementary traditionally, so we've avoided the snow and I hope weather for that, so hopefully it'll be a good night for everybody to get out and do that. Maintenance, there were some corrections to the sensors in the boiler room that are attached to the fire alarm system. They're still working on that, but I believe they have a fix in mind. But it's not quite ready to go yet, but they're working on it. And as long as the boilers are going, we're still going to have that buzzer going off once in a while. There was a heater in the lobby that's also fixed as of last week. Character Strong, every month I tell you where we're at with that. March is focused on cooperation, working together to accomplish a shared goal. That's a lot of what school is about. So that's what we'll be focused on this month. And as always, if you are interested in seeing what those lessons and content look like, and that goes for anybody, to let me know and we'll share that. I mentioned last month too, but spring is crazy and it's nice out already and seems to bring the intensity up a little bit. So field trips are coming up. We're starting to get some transportation all lined up for all those. There's always, Langwood does a great job of getting Boise County Conservation out there and some other conservation areas in the county. So those will be coming up this spring. So that's what's going on right now.
Questions, comments? Tom? Okay. On March 12th, we have some high school students that'll be taking the ACT in the auditorium. It's always one of our opportunity for our students to test at the school district. I don't know if you can recall when you took it, but I remember going somewhere foreign on a Saturday morning, typically after a football game or something. So to have the setting that we have for our students is phenomenal, so thanks for supporting that. On March 19th, we're hosting a career day at the middle school, high school building. Jane Boston has planned the entire event as part of her TQ project. The event accumulates with Speaker Kent Stock. If you're familiar, Kent was a former teacher of Miss Boston's, but he's the person the final season, you ever seen that movie, is about. So it's cool to have someone like him to come talk to our kids. And then we'll have the opportunity that the kids can watch that movie, which will be great. The 25th, we're doing some more testing, ASVAB testing with in the high school with Ms. Akins. We're gearing up for ISAS. Ms. Salzar will be talking about that. She's been working extremely hard. It does consume a lot of her job for a good month and a half. I know because I've had to do it before. It stinks. But testing will take place in middle school, high school the first week of April. So gearing up for all that fun stuff. BizTown's also taking place too. We've been working between the two buildings. 5th and 6th graders was able to join in to do some interviews. That was fun. April 4th, they'll be traveling to the Quad Cities for their event. Ms. Helberg and Ms. Daisy, along with their elementary staff, have been working hard with that. So that's something fun for our kids. And a lot of purposeful work, I think, too. So it's pretty cool. On Friday, February 28th, I took a team down to Central Lee. We did some observing of their MTSS time and the systems that they have in place. The systems they use involve some intervention time for math, ELA, character building, career exploration, leadership on a rotation. So So they're block scheduling, so it's after their first block. They have like a 28-minute span where they do this, and it's every 5th day they have something new, and then it rotates through. It's pretty cool how they do it, but I think the neatest thing about it was after we got to see this rotation, and obviously I taught in it last year, but their student leaders came and presented to us and showed all the activities that they do, and it really is the engine that drives all their initiatives, which is kind of cool, and how they do things. And then the proof's in the pudding, as you say. Their proficiency scores are unbelievable. So their intervention time that they use with math, it's it's intervention or it's acceleration time. So they really get after it with that time. But the character building and career exploration, they do that, and they get, for their career exploration, they do some job shadowing and whatnot, and they also tie it into some college credit too, which is really cool. So every kid gets that college credit opportunity. So it's pretty neat. So I guess our task now is to see how we can fit a system like that into our schedule and what it would look like, and if we have enough staff to do it. Obviously, Central Lee's a lot bigger school district than us, so they have and it's a 9-12 building. We're not. We're 6-12. So we're having a middle school, and the scheduling and stuff, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's doable on how we can set up some things just to make things a little better for us. So that's all I got.
Questions? Shannon?
Our AEA consultants, Kara Beach for literacy, Lynn Zelking for math, have been continuing to come to the district to coach teachers, model lessons, work with small groups of students. It's been a good trial run because that's kind of how we're going to base our work with those consultants next year. Instead of having them come like on Wednesday early out, we're going to protect that PLC time and have them do more in the classroom coaching sessions or talking with teachers during their prep time to see if we can get that model to work. Megan Farrell will also be here actually tomorrow to do some work with assistive technology. Jessica Vance has continued working with our PLC leads to help identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within our PLC structures, and that's what's kind of led us to know that we need to protect that PLC time more and give the teachers the time to collaborate and sift through data. We're going to continue to use those insights and those conversations we've had during those times to help strengthen our PLCs. The science scores have been added to the Iowa School Performance Profile. We've kind of talked about that throughout the year. So I've been working with different curriculum companies to get some pricing on Open SciEd at the elementary level, which will be grades 3 through 5. Currently we use Mystery Science, and it's okay to kind of dabble in, but it doesn't go very deep. Open SciEd is a curriculum that's phenomena-based. It centers on student-led questioning, investigating, and problem solving, and the teachers support the students as learning facilitators, not lecturers. It's more hands-on. We currently use Open SciEd at the middle school level, and then we also have the chemistry and the physics units at the high school level, so this will kind of tie in and make our science instruction pretty seamless from 3rd grade through 12th grade. As Tony mentioned, ISASS dates are coming up. The secondary building is going to test March 31st through April 4th, and then the elementary building will test April 14th through the 25th. And it has consumed my life for the last month and a half, and it still does.
Questions? Okay, Brandon?
A couple updates. One, football pods came out this last week, meaning we know who's in our district for the next 2 years. That'll be Columbus, Van Buren, Highland, New London, Pekin, us, and Danville. We'll have 2 non-district games. We're working on that right now. So when you do a non-district scheduling, the state schedules your football season. So what you do is you rate your non-district games of who you would like to play. Obviously, L&M was in our district. They were A. Now they've moved up to 1A. We'd like to still play them, being just down the road. Always brings a good crowd. Call it the Highway 61 rivalry or whatever. But we got them as our number 1. So likelihood that we play L&M is pretty high because they'll put us as their number 1, and that'll get locked in. From there, it's a little more gray. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be. We'll put out, I think we have 5 teams on our list, ranked 1 to 5, and we'll just see where it lands. So we generally try to find schools our size, but sometimes that's not possible. You have to play something bigger. Hence the last 2 years we played West Burlington because that's just how it landed. I would say, I believe this week, those rankings are due, so probably in 7 to 10 days after this week, we'll probably have our actual schedules, I'm hoping. Working on scheduling for summer's ready to go, spring's ready to go. I'm working on the fall now, trying to get that stuff done. But again, when you're waiting for football, that's a big portion of your fall scheduling. And a little bit of volleyball still to finish up, but trying to get wrapped back around to winter. So hopefully here this spring I can do that. Just a couple shout outs. One, boys wrestling, Cohen Wolford finishing 8th at the state tournament. Girls wrestling, Kennedy 2nd and Clarabelle 6th. Esports went to state competition, they finished 2nd. And we have 6 students going to state speech this weekend. We took 10 pieces, I believe, to the district competition, and 8 of the 10 received Division I ratings and will be going to state. So that's Lexi Brown, Haley Laud, Katie Arrington, Lily Spencer, Emma Holmes, and Monty Isaac. And also congratulations to Jane for that. I know just a couple years ago our speech numbers were dwindling and they're back up. So and a lot of that has to do with Jane and her putting the time in. So I want to give her credit for that. Obviously we're getting ready for track. If anybody's looking for something to do on a Monday or Tuesday night, we can always use workers at the track meet. Especially if you like long jump or discus or shot put. Yeah, I mean the rest of the stuff.
The boosters will take volunteers too for the concession stand.
Yeah, especially the junior high meet because there'll be like 2,000 young kids at this meet, and they'll all bring their aunts, uncles, grandmas, neighbors, cousins, sisters, brothers. It's crazy. That's why it hurts so bad if a track meet gets canceled, because you're looking at $2,000 or $3,000 night of just profit. I mean, honestly. So you hope that we have good weather, and we've been pretty fortunate. We did lose one last year, but generally we get pretty lucky. We have 2 sets of old catchers here in the softball shed that needs to go. I put that on as surplus this month. The last thing is softball field. Brandon had asked last meeting if I had any thoughts or ideas, and Brett and I went over and kind of laid out what we think the future softball complex could look like. Those are some things that I'd love to share with the board right now, but we got to get it more detailed and get it finalized. One of the issues that gets brought up often is the water that goes to the dugouts. And I'll let Brett talk a little bit here in a minute, because he's probably give you a few more ideas. If we were to raise the dugouts, let's say 2 inches each, that's going to cost us about $3,500, which I truly believe would end up being a waste of money for us, because that water is going to come over there. It's still going to pool, but now it's going to pool on the field instead of running through the dugout. Part of it is not that the field is not sloped correctly, but what's outside of the fence, it can't go anywhere. So that's where we're going to have to address that issue to fix it. And I know in the home dugout we currently have a pump hole. We don't have anything on the away side. We're talking about some options on how to fix that, but I really truly believe for the baseball and softball field both, because the baseball field also has drainage issues. The only way to fix them long term is to look at it as a long term project to do the whole field and whatnot. We got to remember, I know the baseball field, Ken Johnson built with his bare hands and a lot of volunteer work, and there wasn't laser grading, there wasn't drainage put in, there's no water on there, and the same with I'm assuming I'm not privy to how the softball field was built, but I'm sure that some of that would be true there. The light poles that went up, I believe Darren Short's dad might have helped wire some of that up back in the day. We're going to have to put some attention to it. And I think it's pretty high on my priority list. I would say the baseball and softball field for me is 1A and 1B. I do have a long-term goal of a clubhouse behind the dugout of the softball field. I think it's appropriate. I think it's necessary. Games are over, kids can go in there and change. That's something that we need to address as well. But I do have something like this, and I can talk to you afterwards, kind of draw you a little picture of what we're thinking. We don't have anything definitive. We're going to want board approval on where things are going to go eventually anyways. But I think we have a a bit of a plan. I just don't have any definitive answers for you tonight. Anything to add to that?
No, we did have Jim and Bev, I know Kenny might know, and maybe Sarah, Jim and Bev Sealman with NBA Fields. They're the ones that kind of designed our North Park ball fields and football fields. And they did come down Friday, walk both the baseball and softball fields and kind of give me their 2 cents, but they also want kind of a wish list from Brandon, long-term, so that they know, what would the school be looking at long-term, so they can kind of put something together. They are willing to come down and survey, do some control points like we had them do at the fairgrounds, test elevations and show us on paper what our elevations look like. Obviously, we're in Wapello, it's flat. The only way we can really drain that softball field is south. It's definitely not a problem with the dugouts being too low. If we raise them dugouts 2 inches, it's like $1,700 a dugout just in foam. And what that's going to do is just make all the water just sit on the field. If we just took a little bit of TLC on the south side of the guest dugout and scraped that dirt and reseeded it, all that water that came through that guest dugout would probably go to the ditch, and that would alleviate that problem. The home dugout, you got a light pole right behind on the south end of the west side of the dugout. It's probably 8 inches higher than the floor of the dugout, so that water just coming in there, just sitting. It's going underneath that slab, and that slab is just lowering. So a little bit of groundwork, but the problem is chances are the infield of the softball field is probably going to need raised up 2 inches and set elevation to everything else future. So even if we're not going to build a clubhouse for 8 years, still need to have elevation of everything set so that we don't put the cart in front of the horse and do something at the wrong elevation that we can't afford now that we can afford 8 years from now. So, and they're willing to help the school with that. So I think in the meantime, Brandon's going to work on kind of maybe a Brandon's wish list on what he'd like and see what they offer for advice and go from there.
Are we talking 6 figures? Are we talking 7 figures? What's it gonna?
Well, I'd definitely say if you're gonna put in lights, I think you're wanting to look at Musco Lighting. I can tell you for our Musco Lighting project at the North Park was like $700,000. Now, they have a cooperation program that volunteers can work with, and they're willing to work with us on our North Park, and I think we'd almost cut it in half. Now, I think we would have more lighting out there.
Our current quote on lighting is for the baseball and softball field. I don't have them separated out individually. It's $500,000. I think that raised, the quote went up to $505,000 this year.
And that's lighting.
That's for just lighting. Yeah. Last time I had the baseball field looked at, I had a company come down that does a lot of fields. They did Wilton's Field. I had them come down. At that time, the baseball field was going to be $250,000 to $300,000 to do everything inside the fence. My guesstimate would be for the whole complex, baseball, softball field, lighting, clubhouse, dugouts, off the top of my head, 1.1 million. That's for everything. Obviously, if you can get help on some things and volunteer work, that takes your price down. You know, I'm trying to get a grant for some light, money. I'm doing what I can. I just know that this is something that's going to have to go near the top of our list, in my opinion, if it's something we want to approach. And I think it's worth looking at and at least get numbers. I mean, that's at a minimum. I can get numbers, find out what it's going to be, and I'll give them a full wish list, and we'll work off that and just work backwards if we have to. But those areas have needed help for a long time. So, I coached over there for a long time and prayed for someone to donate a lot of money at some point, and it just never happened. So, something we got to look at.
And I think for sure to have to come back and check elevations, because obviously the batting cage needs erected, and that elevation needs set so that if we don't do, the field for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, that batting cage would be set where it needs to go to not prevent any water, depending on how they want the water to run off the fields. So.
That's all I got, I think, for now, unless you guys have anything else you want me to take a peek at.
That's a pretty good amount, man.
I kind of did it there, so I didn't need to.
Cody?
Alright, so me, Mark, and Kyle plan to get the water turned on and hooked up over at the complex sometime this week. We'll probably hook everything up one day and then turn the water on and cross our fingers there's no leaks anywhere. Usually there's at least one. And then I think in a week or two, we're gonna paint the soccer field as well. We don't have a date yet, just depends on weather. So I was able to have some people come down and kind of scope out, I've talked about this a few times, scope out our elevator room, and they're gonna get me kind of quotes and a list of everything that we need to do. One thing they mentioned was air conditioning in that machine room for the elevator. When you do the new upgrade, there's a lot more heat involved, it sounds like, so I don't think it would take much to cool that room though. I mean, it's basically a closet, it's nothing major, so. I think when they give me the quote to do all the upgrades, we can look at it and potentially go with local contractors instead. That's kind of the way I took it, so once I get those numbers, we can kind of look around and see if that's a possibility too. And then in the shop, we had one of the breaker panels had a burned up bus bar. Of course, it's so old, they don't make parts for it anymore, so Bob Schwab kind of machinist that's able to at least get it to where we can use it. And so he's in the process of getting that done. And once he gets the parts, he'll come and get it all redone, so we'll be good to go there. So it's for the welders, so I definitely want to make sure the kids have the opportunity to use the welders. They currently have, I think, 3 out of commission right now, so he knows it's kind of a higher priority thing, so we'll get that fixed and be ready to go.
Thank you.
All right, my report is mostly stuff out of Des Moines. Still no progress on SSA for next year. Senate and Governor are holding at 2. The House is holding at 2.25, and honestly, folks, they're not even talking to each other right now about it. So what that means is schools are having to develop their budget without knowing what their funding is going to be. So if you think that's kind of a backwards process, it is, but it's what we have to do. Some bills, if you remember, last week was the final week, which means a bill has to be passed out of committee in the House in which it originated. So if it started in the Senate, it has to pass out of the Senate committee to survive the funnel. If it doesn't survive the funnel, it is technically dead, although it can come back as an amendment on something else at any time. But these are some bills that did survive the funnel. The governor's cell phone bill, I think you can bet the farm that there is going to be some kind of cell phone bill that's going to be passed. A focus on math instruction similar to the reading legislation from last year. There's talk that the approach to math is going to have to mirror reading with individual intervention plans for some kids and really follow that literacy approach. Dropout prevention equity, if you remember, Wapello was capped at 2.5% in the formula for at-risk dropout. Our neighboring schools are capped at 5. There's a big push to equalize that because we're missing out on some money that our neighbors down the road are getting just because of timing and when the formula was set. There is still some talk about adjusting the legal start date for schools. You have the State Fair and you have the Iowa Lakes Tourism Association who are really concerned with start date. I think the State Fair people are coming around and are in favor of some of the things that they're talking about. I have not heard from the Tourism Board. I don't know where they are with it. But it survived the funnel. There's also a bill that will require schools to have 2 minutes of silence before you start the day with the pledge, along with having to post the U.S. and Iowa mottos at the entranceway. Let's see. Here's an interesting one. Districts would not be able to contract with any entity who hires a lobbyist. If that passes, we can't belong to the Iowa Association of School Boards anymore. Your administrators could not belong to School Administrators of Iowa. I mean, all professional organizations hire lobbyists. So if this goes through, it's going to affect a lot of different things. Let's see. Students would be required to pass a civics test for graduation. One version has it be the citizenship test. The other one is just a general civics knowledge test. Teachers would be required under this bill to post every, and I emphasize every, worksheet, handout, assignment, reading assignment, whatever. If it affects the kids, it has to be posted on the school's website for parents to review. This bill died last year. I really hope it dies again, because you will have to hire somebody who does nothing but post stuff to the website. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just not a feasible thing. There was a bill that would require all districts to have a calendar of 180 days. Get rid of hours, it would be 180 days, period. That did not survive the funnel. However, until the session is over, nothing is truly dead. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody tried to bring this up again. And I say that because the sponsors of the bill indicated it was a direct response to the number of districts who have gone to 4-day school week. I don't know if it's going to have legs or not. It was sprung last minute, didn't survive the funnel, but like I said, until the session is over, nothing is ever truly dead. AEA changes for next year. We have gotten a quote from the AEA for all of the requested services. Of course, what we requested came in way above the amount of money we're going to have to work with. So we are now paring that down so that we can contract for what's within our budget. We are getting closer, and we'll get there. Making up lost time. Winter weather is hopefully behind us, but we have to make up some time because of late starts and a couple missed days. We are taking 4 Wednesdays and we are converting them from early outs to full days, and I've listed those 4 Wednesdays there. Tomorrow morning, that information is going to get pushed out to parents so they know right away. Easter Monday is going to be a student day. We designated that as a weather makeup day, so we're going to use that as one of them. We also have to make up another missed day, and so that pushes our final student day to May 27th, okay, which is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. Not ideal, but weather is never ideal, okay? So that's going to be our plan for making up time. I include our representative and senator's information there. My schedule is there. And if you flip over, you'll see our student count as of this morning. We inched up another body, so good to see.
Any questions? Personnel items?
Brandon, you got anything to say about coaching?
Well, I got obviously 2 new head coaches on there, Tony Johnson, our high school principal. I think Tony comes with a lot of experience. He's been around the game of football for a long time. He's been taking a team to the state finals, as well as an assistant coach going to the Dome a couple of years ago. And I think right guy, right time. I think that he's a big culture builder guy. He does it in our building, and I think he'll do it on the football field. Tatiana, as head boys soccer coach, I think she's ready to go. Nervous, I'm sure, but I think she's did a phenomenal job as an assistant last year. She's already helped with some open gym stuff this year. She's ready to go. And then I got Hunter Brooks as an assistant track coach. I don't know how many have you had an opportunity to sit down and talk to Hunter at this point, but you need to sit down and talk to him. He's got kids behind him. Kids are excited about him. Weight room, track, they're ready to go. And he got his coaching license. It did say pending. I hope that got taken off at this point. He got it the day after I submitted my paperwork. So the state's working really fast these days. They get the stuff in by noon the next day. You got a license. So good for us, because we used to wait 4 to 6 weeks for somebody to get that, and they don't have to do that anymore. Jake obviously wants to do some volunteer assistant golf. Jody Parsons is going to help out with the distance runners. Lace Smith's going to help out in the mornings with. He's going to volunteer to help out Hunter in the mornings while he's got lifting. He's got a lot of kids in the mornings. Hunter's up to. Day to day, I don't know what the breakdown is exactly, but he's got about 55 kids who have been in the mornings. That is tenfold what we've had in the past, so pretty excited about that. And then Kenneth Griner will also be helping assist with some golf stuff. So.
Hunter's license.
What's that?
Hunter's license is up.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, he got it.
You got it.
And then, Brett, you have a couple, you wanna talk about those?
Yeah, me and Shannon and Tony interviewed Art last week, and she's from UNI, she's semi-local, Muscatine. So she's ready to go, she's gonna finish up her student teaching this spring, and she's on board. And then Allison Smith, we talked about adding, we're way over our caseload stuff for special ed at the elementary. And we've been operating with down people, and it's time to increase that. Allison comes with 3 years of experience in some high need areas, so we'll get both of them on board too.
And just a quick reminder, adding a special education teacher does not affect your general fund bottom line, because that's a different pot of money, it falls under special ed. So I just wanted to clarify that for you.
I'll make a motion to hire 139.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business, approved list of fundraisers.
Eric's included all of them in the packet. Got a handful of them, so.
I just got that softball shirt one today. I didn't know if anybody wanted to see it, but it was approved. I just didn't have it with the time today.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Ready? Consideration for board policy.
All right, you have 5 of them this time as part of your review. I don't have any proposed language changes. One talks about community use of school buildings. The other one says don't bring nicotine or tobacco onto school grounds. Don't bring weapons onto school grounds. Don't fly drones over school grounds unless you clear it with us ahead of time. And then the last one is a holdover from COVID. It basically says when an emergency comes, you sometimes have to do things you can't always plan for. So if you have to hold remote virtual school for a few days while you're working through something, you can. Like I said, it's a holdover from COVID, but it can be applied to other things as well.
I'll make a motion to approve board policies 905.1 to 907.
Second.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Consideration approved band Disney trip.
I do have some info for y'all. I just got the proposal back from the company earlier today, so we can pass on them, and this is the exterior building and Brandon. So next year, spring of 2026 is the year for our band and choir trip. This trip happens every 4 years. So the date we have set is April 15th through the 20th. That is just the corresponding date to the previous trip that was taken. Easter, I believe, is early next year, like beginning of April, so it's like 2 weeks after that little Easter break. This is going to be band and choir. That was up for debate last year, but I have choir in my schedule now, and kids who want to keep singing, so that's awesome, yay. So band will do the parade performance, choir does stage performance. Right now we have about 50 who are interested in going, which is awesome. I'm sure some will come out of the woodwork. I think maybe like current 8th graders who haven't had the chance to be in choir yet will want to join high school choir. And I have about 7 chaperones who have said that they're interested. I'm planning the trip with Bob Rogers Travel. This is who Wapello has traveled with in the past. I'm planning it with the same person that Micah planned with, which is wonderful. This is my first opportunity to plan a trip, so it's great to have someone who knows our school to help along with this process. So, obviously, I got my proposal, so it's in front of you. I'll have a parent meeting, and then I did submit a fundraising opportunity for our students that we will do in April. So right now, our pricing that he gave me will actually change because he priced it for 40 to 44 students. Like I said, we're at about 50, so that will actually lower our price. So per student, we're sitting about $1,679 per student. So they will have fundraising opportunities. Music Boosters normally gives a little sum of money to each student as well to help kind of lower that cost.
And since it's an out-of-state overnight trip, it needs to come before the board for approval, and that's why Jennifer's here.
So we're trying to keep as much as what there was from the last trip, so same schedule, same everything.
It's a good trip, it gets you on before.
I'm excited, I went as a student, so I'm excited.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 band choir Disney trip.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, public hearing 24, that should be.
That should be 25, 26. Yep. All right, the calendar is in the packet, is the same one that you saw last month. And so this is a public hearing, opportunity for anybody to talk if they would like. And that's it.
So leave that open for a certain amount of minutes, or not?
Judgment call, maybe you think it's been enough time.
It's been enough.
It's like less than 30 seconds.
No one jumped.
Go and jump it up.
So we're not gonna speak, we're not gonna speak.
Yeah, we've already had this discussion, it's like deja vu, right?
All right, consideration approved, 25, 26.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consideration approved participation in Iowa local government risk.
All right, let me cut it caught up here a little bit. This is something that we do every year. It basically allows us to lock in a price for our natural gas for the upcoming season. By doing that, we can use management fund dollars rather than general fund. You run the risk because you can lock your price in and then the price of natural gas could plummet. It's not gonna happen. But it is a risk that you run, but we do this to protect our general fund dollars, so Eric and I would ask that we do it again.
I make a motion to approve the participation in Iowa local government risk.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Consideration approved radio agreement.
All right. The agreement is in your board packet. This is the result of months of meetings with the group. It was me and Eric and Tatiana and Brandon and Val and Ellie Hagberg and Kay Boyson and Jessica Buster. We have met, we talked about how we can achieve our goal of making it so that Earth's crew will have enough funding at the end of 5 years to turn around and purchase the rodeo assets from us with the intention that they will take over the operations of the rodeo and contract with the FFA to provide labor. Trying to shift the onus of the rodeo from the district to Earth's crew and that organization. And if I misspeak on something, jump up and correct me. But the agreement is here. On the second page is really the main part. This is how we're going to distribute the profits. The first column is revenues based on ad sales. The more money generated through ad sales will affect the disbursement of the net profits for the rodeo. For example, if you sell $100,000 in ads, you take the net profit at the end of the rodeo season, 51% of that would go to Earth's crew, 49% would go back directly to the FFA. The thinking behind that is ad sales are so vital to the success of the rodeo and the bottom line profit. We wanted to stress the importance, especially for the kids, to get out and push the ads and sell them, because without ad sales, the rodeo isn't going to happen. Like I said, this is a 5-year agreement. At the end of 5 years, we then need to sit down and see where we are, and at that point, we'll have to negotiate a new agreement moving forward from that. So this just gives us 5 years down the road, again, with the intention of Earth's crew having enough funds to turn around and purchase the rodeo assets from the school. I will answer any questions people might have.
Which attorneys are up there?
This was Ayers and Gumia from one. Brett Nitsky is our specific attorney.
I make a motion to approve the rodeo agreement.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consideration approved.
Thank you, guys.
Shoots.
All right, in the package, you have some quotes on different options for bucking chutes. As I said in the packet, we've been told our current chutes are unsafe and we cannot continue using them. So I asked, Val has some information on bucking chute options. I'm going to turn it over to Val and Tatiana to talk about the options that we have, and we can decide how we would like to proceed. So whoever would like to talk.
Go for it. Okay, so you'll have 3 bids in front of you, 2 of which are through the Barnes PRCA Rodeo, who's been our stock contractor since we went pro back in 2009. He has a used set for sale, and then he has a new set for sale. His used set, you can see in the cover letter from him, explains kind of the setup there, and then his new set is through Max Steel, which he is a distributor of. I like the idea of working with Weston Barnes because they've been great to work with since 2009. They've given us no reason not to trust them and no reason to not think that they won't stand behind their product. So the third one is from Prefert. They are kind of if you ever watched the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas, they outfit that entire Tom Smack Arena for the rodeo. Pretty significant price difference. Prefert is top of the top line. Max Steel, like I said, Weston represents Max Steel. His bucking chutes, his used set would be a combination between Max Steel and Prefert. The new set would come from Max Steel Direct. So there's really not that big of a price difference if you look at the 2 estimates from Barnes between the new and the used. So I really encourage you to look at the new Max Steel.
Val, just so I understand, I'm looking at the Max Steel one right now. The used one has the price listed. For the new, we need to add both of those numbers, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so the new Max Steel equipment would be $72,105 versus the Barnes' used set would be $65,670.
Okay, and for the Prefert, I'm assuming the 104 is new.
That's everything else.
There isn't a used Prefert option?
No, this is,
Okay.
no. So some of Weston's parts, some of Weston's used set is Prefert, but no, there is not. This came directly from Prefert in Texas, directly from the company, so.
Okay.
And I sent Weston's stuff to Prefert to give a good solid comparison. So, all materials.
Is there any type of warranties included on any of this, the new items?
No, and there wasn't one on Prefert to my knowledge either,
Okay.
so.
I found this on the web.
The only thing with the good idea with working with Weston is he's gonna stand behind it. And I asked Weston specifically, and he said he's never had a problem with Max Steel, working with them. So I like the idea of working with Weston because he has an in with Max Steel instead of calling 1-800-Prefert and talking to somebody in Texas and that and I have faith in Weston because he knows our radio stuff, right? Like she's using the travel agent that Mike Peck used because they know the school system and they know how, so he's been at our radio since 2009,
So you guys want the Max Steel and you got plenty of money to purchase it if that's what you want to purchase, correct? More or less?
I mean,
There is money in the rodeo.
I think they're not that much prices that you might as well buy brand new.
That one's 7 years old, it says.
And the one from Barnes is, if you're looking at new, that's the lowest bid. So
How old is the stuff we have now?
I asked Weston, so we bought it used in 2017, and he thinks that, so the set we have now was built by the Barnes family, and he thinks they're probably in the 80s, built in the 80s. So, and the plan is to sell our current set. They're not unsafe to use at a ranch for practice. They're not safe for a professional performance. So that, and Weston believes there's a market for a good use set, for a practice set, so. We tried to do it last fall and going into winter was not the
So
time.
is Weston gonna help us sell our set, our
Yes.
used set?
Absolutely, yeah.
Are they one color? You can choose.
They are, I think they're, like Matt's
Well,
still,
they should. I mean,
so,
We're not
Yeah.
professional, we don't.
Or use one weekend.
Exactly.
Brett, what do you ask?
Colors, I just wanna make sure with our park project, we make sure collaboration stays.
yeah, they're not gonna be like, yeah.
So everything.
They're not gonna be bright blue or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, they're brown. Max still predominantly is black. Whatever, yeah, Max still predominantly.
You got a problem with Wapello blue?
I wish I could say that, I'm out there now. Yes, it's gotta be done, yes.
I can rate it.
And there's some more safety features and new ones, obviously, than the set we have now too, so that's a benefit too, because it's gotten to the point that the contestants are complaining about the item.
It's probably done.
Yeah, we bought, like I said, we bought them in 2017, and they were well loved when we got them. So,
I pulled in and looked at them,
Okay.
without a
Yeah.
doubt.
so, yeah, it's,
I make a motion to approve the Barnes, new bucking chute set for $72,150.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. Consideration approved purchase of digital kiosk and video board. And there is money to do this, as I checked in earlier.
Eric looked at where this money could come from. It would come out of our annual technology allotment. We budget so much money for that. He says we have enough in there where we could sustain this project moving forward if we chose to do that.
Did he say how long we could sustain it? Cause I mean, it looks like there's
There's
years
options.
worth of subscriptions to go.
Right. Tony and Brandon know more about this than I do, so I'm gonna ask them to summarize what we're looking at here, guys.
It's basically just updating that front entryway of the high school, that wall where our class pictures are hanging right now. That would be where the location of this device would be. You can get sponsorships, annual sponsorships if we want to, to knock the cost down a little bit. They had one of the samples that Brandon and I were showing where they kind of had like a sponsors page that would kind of go on a rotation for them as well. Cool thing about this, not only is it a touch screen and you can bring multiple things up, it's also mobile, so you can check it from anywhere. So that's kind of neat, and they'll pull on as much as we give them as far as data. So it's just kind of a data dump. There's a lot of front end work on our end to scan pictures and whatnot to get it to them, but after that, it's just whatever we want to put on there. There is one cool feature that you can search a name and it'll take it to the picture of their class. Then it could be something where they were an all-state whatever, and you can actually pull in video and watch actually clips of that certain athlete too. So
Do we have to load that, or is that, I mean, I'm sure that's all front loaded by us.
It's kind of a combo thing.
Yep.
I think a lot of that's probably gonna happen in my office. I have some kids that help me on a day-to-day basis. I imagine, or at least I envision, this taking quite a while to get it all on there. Like maybe, I mean, it's not gonna happen by the end of the school year. You guys what I'm getting at. It's gonna take, it's gonna be ever evolving. I think that the beginning of this was our desire to clean up that entryway and get those class pictures down and get something up there that looks a little nicer. That's step one, so that's the first project. The second project is we can also put our Hall of Fame on there, so when you pull it up, you can read things about those individuals. You can do team records. You know, yes, we have record boards down at one end of the building, but we have nothing at the other end of the building, right? So, yeah, I mean, really, it's almost limitless what we can do with this thing. I mean, we're gonna have to get super creative and saying, and probably narrow focus for a little bit, saying this is what we're gonna do now. Then we're gonna do, it's just gonna keep adding and adding and adding. But I do agree, the one great thing about it is, you're at home on a Saturday night, and you're just cruising through there. I mean, you can do it at home too. Obviously, we're gonna have the touch screen there in the entryway, but you can, it's on a database, so you can go check it out there as well.
Who is going to be responsible for uploading the data?
They do that
How do they get it?
from us.
Who's gonna be responsible for getting that data over and over and over again? To them, you do?
Yep, that's what's gonna happen, I mean, that's gonna.
I'm just saying, there needs to be more than one person,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But if we're gonna spend money,
Because you want it up.
we want it updated all the time,
Oh, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, so for me, you know, I'm a staff person, so when Michael took over baseball, I gave him the entire record book. When Trenton took over basketball, I gave him the whole record book. I'd like to get to the point where all of our coaches keep those things, and we can upload those, and if you wanna go see career batting averages above 300, you can see them all, you know, you just get a list. I have a list for baseball, not everybody, but everybody I could go back as far as I could to get all the all-conference award winners for baseball clear back into the 80s. I have quite a list of those. You know, I want to see that stuff loaded on there. I think that I can even take that document and send it to them, and that would become what they're going to put on there for us. And so I have some of that pre-prepared. Obviously, our record boards, we already have all of that pre-prepared. So I think that, I mean, it's going to take time, but yes, it's got to, at the end of the season, it's going to have to be updated if there's things that need to be put on there. It's just.
The class composites will be the most
The
time
first
consuming
thing,
start,
yeah.
but that's a one-timer.
Yeah.
And then you add it, you know, every
Right,
year.
right.
My idea with that too, because it's also in our vestibule too, it kind of spilled off of there. I'd like to put a framed one of the recent graduates and have that posted. So they just kind of stay year round, and then you just switch them out. So that was my idea, so we can kind of highlight that class that just did graduate.
So there's a hardware purchase, which is a one-time purchase, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes.
And it looks, soft sell, if we sign by the 14th, we get a significant discount, it looks like. And then the software pricing would be the yearly.
Yes.
Okay. If we were to sign a 5-year subscription, are we locked into that price, or is it going to increase each year?
It's locked in.
That's locked in as far as I know. That's what they told us.
Okay. Yeah, when we asked Eric, because Eric is up at UNI right now, we asked him about the funding stream for this, and he said that there is sufficient money in that account to pay for this and the ongoing cost each year. Now, he doesn't say if there's a sunset date, but.
So, if you have trouble with this thing, what type of support do they give us?
Yep, so basically they have a whole team. This is a company that's based out of Boston. We've done we did a webinar with them, so we've actually met people. She's been in contact with us ever since our webinar, so I've gotten multiple emails from her. They have a whole tech team that does the data dump, that does everything, so they have full supports to take care of any issues. So Danville has one of these right down the road, and there's a touch screen and everything like that too, so we were able to kind of take a look at what they had as well. So
theirs is pretty cool.
it is neat.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
This says Wapello Middle School, High School responsibilities, upload and manage content through the provided easy-to-use content management system. So that says to me that we're uploading.
We upload.
We upload things to them, and then they make
And then they
it.
professionalize.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
Perfect.
if we're taking a picture, there's like shadows and stuff, they're gonna clean all that up. So
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, what size?
Yeah.
What size display would you recommend?
what was the one that we were looking at?
Well, they had I don't know, there's a big price cut on the 75, I think is what we talked about.
The 65 and the 75 have a pretty significant.
Significant
price.
cuts.
My recommendation would be the biggest one you can get. That would be my recommendation. But I'm gonna tell you why.
See, well, look around.
I think it's easy.
Let me tell you why. There's gonna be a
Going there.
Alright, if you look at the 55-inch television that's across the wall, like the opposite wall, it looks like about a 35-inch TV in that space. So that's why I say that. It looks this big.
everything
I mean,
was
I have a
small except for
65
our
inch
new
TV
pool.
at home on
That
my
new pool
wall,
is
so-
huge.
That is huge.
But I'm still doing this.
Because it covers the whole.
But our yard sign up by the highway should have been bigger. I think.
Yes, that's what I was just telling Mike, it's not, I don't think it's big
I
enough.
need to get room, I can't read it.
Well, I know you're going over, but
It's perfectly fine.
it looks huge when you're
Especially the.
later, but when you drive by, you know.
I would have been okay with just a little bit bigger screen.
I don't think.
No, I don't think they're having a choice of having one bigger than that.
So you would recommend going to 75?
I would, because if you don't, and then later you're like, man, on that wall, we just could have been a little bigger, because that's a big wall.
And what would you recommend for the year subscription? I mean, do you want to go in with 5? Do you want to go in with 1 or 2 and see if we like it? I mean, what do you want to do?
If we can lock in a good price for 5, I'd do 5. Because I mean, I know that funding stream is there, and I know that just a couple weeks ago, Jason and I were able to save $2,400 into that account for next year. So I know that a good portion of that is already taken care of via that. Now, I know there was already money in there, but I would be
How do we
comfortable
get
with
money for that fund? Do we get money from the state for that fund every year? or-
We
How do
allocate
we-
your general fund.
Okay.
You set that much aside.
I just was curious how it continues to grow.
5 years makes sense.
Yep.
It's the biggest discount. For the amount continuing. $700 a year discount, approximately.
I make a motion to go with the 75-inch screen for $2,800 and a 5-year subscription for $13,852 as listed in the quote.
Second. Unless we can get a bigger.
So let's encourage him.
I'll see that on our list. No matter brand, it's fine. Yeah, okay. Motion second. Yeah, well, are you wanting to break it down and pay it every year, or are you wanting to pay, there's an upfront on here as well, so if you
Well,
think.
if we have the money now, let's just pay it
Yeah.
down. I think.
I would say that's a discussion we have with there.
Doesn't it say up front is a 20% discount? You have to pay it up front, don't you? If you want the 20% discount.
I think
So it's 14,352 up front, 20% discount, minus 500 referral discount, 13,852.
Wow, yeah.
So that would make the most sense.
Well, it says on there too, when it will be billed.
If you just do an antler, then it's 588, the other one's 28.
Yeah, I think that would be an error question. If he thinks we could do it at once, it would and save the money.
Absolutely. Okay, put that in your motion somehow, pending that.
Pending, we can afford the upfront cut cost.
There you go.
Perfect.
Good.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and Brandon applied for the casino grant. Again, hopefully third time's lucky charm.
Yep, we talked about the cost of lights, we're trying to do something about it, so before he can submit the application, you have to approve him applying.
Yeah, they bounced it back to me because I haven't had an agreement from you since the date was on, it was 23-24, because I did it last year. So I just need to get that updated so that I can resubmit.
Is this the one that, like, we match some?
Yeah, so
or-
it's a match, you can match whatever number you want.
Yeah.
For us, through Pebble Save and all whatnot, we're gonna do 100,000 to the 400,000 match.
Make a motion to authorize.
Motion second, all in favor?
That was it?
Yeah, I just gotta authorize it.
Alright.
Consideration consolidate inactive student activity account.
All right, our auditors would like us to take some of the funds that are sitting in clubs that really no longer exist anymore and put them in places where they can be used. So we're recommending that we transfer to the high school yearbook those amounts there for mock trial, Spanish club, the class of 2019, the key club, the art club, for a total of $1,429.78. We'd like to just transfer that amount into the yearbook. The yearbook is still sitting in the red, but they're doing a nice job of digging themselves out of that. There was an account, Instruments for All, that had about $614 in that. We'd like to just transfer that to the high school band account. I am sure Jennifer can find ample use for that money. And then Elementary Student Council Emergency Fund. This fund has not seen any activity for years. We'd like to take that and transfer it just to the Elementary General Supply Fund. So that money isn't just sitting there, it can actually get put to use. It requires board action to make that transfer, so that's why it's here.
I'll make a motion to consolidate and active student activity account balances.
Second. Motion second, all in favor? Items for next meeting?
Next month, Kelsey is going to come and she's going to talk about our DCAP plan. DCAP stands for?
District Career Academic Plan.
Excellent, thank you. No, that was not a test, it was me. Yep, so Kelsey wants to come and present on that. Are there other things that you want to make sure appear on the agenda next month? You can always send them my way if you think of them later.
Jen, I can talk to Brandon separately, but I want to, the weed issues that we have out there at the football field and that, and the gravel, and make sure you have a plan for that this year.
Goals have initial proposals.
Sorry.
Our goal.
Goals are good.
What is our roof situation? Any more updates? I know you were getting some.
So over the weekend, they started the shop at the auditorium. They power washed everything, and then I think tomorrow, Wednesday, they're gonna kind of work on the seams and then seal it up, and we should be good to go on that regard.
Were we seeking more information on the elementary?
Yeah, we're going through the bidding process right now, so.
Right now, we got apples to oranges to pumpkins. I mean, we're trying to get something comparable we can take a look at.
Because that would be fair weather permitting being done, right?
Yep.
Anything else? Next meeting, April 9th is what we're looking at.
April 9th is the second Wednesday.
It's what? The second Wednesday?
Second. Anything? Okay. 6, 7? 6. I do 5.
I can't,
I'm sorry for you.
I got a 4:30 appointment, so, 2:30 appointment, 4:30 appointment.
We will house them so we can keep them at 6 o'clock.
But then you don't show up.
Please do.
Motion, April 9th, Wednesday.
Second, all in favor? Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Awesome.
Easy peasy.
And,